What's up, guys?
No.
Welcome. No?
So cooked.
Welcome to Trims and Talk.
What's going on? All the credits.
I just wanna talk with my brothers. Is that too much to ask? Might as well look sharp, cause I'm doing it too. Trims and talk. Trims and talk. Trims and talk. I wanna know.
Yeah, love is
What,
there.
just the two of us?
Just the two of us.
There's a song there. There is a song.
Well, it always is. When it boils down to it, I mean, I've always thought that this podcast will really be better, just the two of us, just shooting.
Hold on now. We have had some fantastic guests.
That is true.
And those guests have made this show. I'm not going to call it a show. I've made the conversations, but I know sometimes we've always been trying to break out and have our own conversation. I'm sure the guests have been thinking they just want to talk themselves.
No, that's so true. That is true. I think sometimes, it's always nice to kind of break it up a little bit and just and see if the what they call it, the interviewers have at least their own thought process.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's interesting because we say it every week when we do a podcast and we have a guest. It is such an honour and a pleasure to actually be in conversation with so many people who've got such interesting lives.
Hey, so tell me. So, what are you doing around Christmas? I mean, Christmas is around the corner.
Well, what am I doing around Christmas? I'm going to have Christmas Day with my daughter and her 3 children. She's expecting her 4th, and my son. They've had their house. They've had an extension built on it. Oh, okay. So they've been living at their mum's now for probably about since July. Oh, okay. So this Saturday they're moving back to their own house, and I'll be helping them out in terms of some of the moving, and they're very excited about it. That's my Christmas. What about your Christmas?
I have no idea, man. It's like this is the first time in years that I have no idea what I am doing for Christmas. I think for the past, I'll say probably for the, it's like I've been emming and ahhing about going back home, to see my mother around Christmas. But, the
you went back about 18 months ago.
About 18 months ago.
And that had been the first time you've been back for?
In a long while. In an embarrassingly long
20
while.
20 plus years?
Well, now that you mentioned that, you're probably somewhere close by.
Because you said when you came back, it was... going back was quite sort of like it had an impact on you.
It has.
As it should do.
No, it had an impact on me, but it's like I think it's like some of these trips, it's not only just about getting a ticket and just going across. You have to actually have some extra pennies, which I know is not an expectation, but I think somehow people we always feel obliged that you carry a little bit extra for the nieces
we're visiting people, aren't we?
Know what I'm saying? Yeah.
And you need to you don't want to go empty-handed.
No.
Do you think? I mean, we talked about this a bit there, but going back after all those years, what did it make you think about where's home?
But that's it. That's exactly it. This is the weirdest thing. I remember the first time I actually went back after being here for a long while. I was conflicted. There's always a conflict between there and here, because I say home here and then I say back home.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? But I think I have a friend who calls herself a Nowarian. A Nowarian, that's what she says. She was born in Trinidad, grew up in the States, moved then here. You see what I'm saying? And then so did their schooling here. but she's also like, like those people who are racially ambiguous. she looks like she's of mixed parentage, but then you can think there's some Indian in her, there's some
Right,
black in her.
so she's probably been experienced. I was going to say subject, but I'm going to say experienced that question. Where are you from? Who are you from?
Yes.
Which obviously she's not here to answer for herself, but it's a question which gets asked.
That's it.
But we get asked it, but for her and for people like her, how they might experience it is something which sometimes we ought to consider.
No, but that's it. So yeah, that it is a real big consideration.
So you say she's an Awarian.
That's why she says she calls herself an Awarian, because somehow she belongs everywhere and nowhere.
Yeah, well, I know that feeling to a degree. I don't know that feeling, but I got a little sense of that there because I was born in Britain of Jamaican parentage. Like many of the people we've had on the podcast, there, that sort of background. Been to Jamaica a few times, not a number, but a few times. But the first time I went, I always believe I went too late in life. I went when I was 27 because my parents could not afford to take us. So when my dad came here in 1956, he went back home in 1969, 13 years. So in that 13 years, there's been 4 children born in here. There's been 2 children sent for and have come. And they had to move house. They've got themselves a house. And that was the first time we went for 13 years. And I always think that's a long time there of scrimping and saving and squirreling away a bit of money there so you could go. And the following year, 1970, my mum went. And I remember that year really well because it wasn't the best Christmas.
Terrible Christmas.
Dad's cooking compared to Mum's cooking, wasn't it? But it snowed. It was a proper white Christmas, where it snowed on Christmas Eve and it snowed during the day as well.
Yeah.
So I remember it really well. But when I went in 87, I always remember feeling that, as many people say, the psychological lift you had of not being black.
Oh yes,
that was I hadn't anticipated that. And the other thing I also remember was how English I was because people were telling me.
This is the weirdest thing. It's like the first episode. The first episode we ever recorded. So, because we were recording, you remember the first episode? It was audio only, and I remember playing it at home, and my boys are like, "Who's that white guy?"
I felt offended when I see your boys again. See, I never hear my voice like that. I never, ever hear my voice like that.
No, I think sometimes like there's always that expectation that there's gonna be that either West Indian sort of like brogue and all that kind of. We have actually there's I call her my niece. Mm-hmm. She comes to the gym. She started watching the podcast and listening to it. She says, "Oh yeah, Donald, he speaks beautifully." Like, so where does that leave me then?
I always take you as the eloquent one. I always take you as the one who you've got this sort of like way in which you can spin words.
Well, let me tell you, that comes from years of trying to make sense. So you end up kind of having like this thing. Mm-hmm. And besides, actually, to be honest, I love words. I was thinking about that recently, that I grew up, because I didn't grow up with the television or radio, so the only thing that I could really was read. That's how my connection with the outside world was, through books. And that basically shaped who I am. And even now, as much as I will watch a film here and there, somehow I'm drawn more to the to the literary word rather than kind of watching and stuff, and which kind of goes against everything I do because I'm a filmmaker.
Yes.
And
Well, maybe it's our generation, because I know when I was growing up, I mean, I read books, and I was at school. I mean, my memory of my first couple of years at school, first year at secondary school, and the class I was in, I used to go to the library most lunchtimes, and they used to have a competition about who could. You had to read a book, and then you had to talk to the teacher about the book.
All right.
And in this, and then when you did that, you got 5 stars, and you'd have a little tally table.
Oh, yes.
Right. And I came second. Larry beat me. He beat me all the time. But I would go every week. I'd be reading a book.
Yes.
Every week I was reading a book, and I was going into this competition because I like that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I really did. But that school as well, at the same time as that, that's that thing about the way we were and how people are so different. I wrote a story. The teacher said to us, you had to write something about home. So I wrote about home, and in that story I wrote, so it's about the first few weeks at school, secondary school, I wrote about home, and I wrote about breadfruit. For dinner we have breadfruit. And the teacher circled it and said, no such thing. No such thing. I remember it circled it in red. So when it came to parents' evening, my mum said to him, don't you ever do that again.
Yes.
And I thought, yeah, you're good, But
You didn't know nothing about breadfruit.
No, yeah, but it was the fact he didn't know anything about it. But rather than be curious and say, what is this?
Yes.
Which is what you should do. I don't know something. Let me find out about it. All right, because what we don't know is so much larger than the little bit we do know. Which means, therefore, we should be curious.
We should be curious. But that's it. I mean, like you were speaking about, kind of going back home and being classed as English. I think we have something akin to that, which in they will call you Kiwa. In my language means white man. because I think it's associated with, you have a little money now. You're living
maybe that's because you have a little bit of money, and white men had money.
Yes, so that's what they will call you Kiwa. Or when somebody wants for you to kind of buy him a drink or something, they start calling you Kiwa. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know where it comes from. That whole thing of because it seems like. Even like home, our standard of success is based on either a European concept that really was never written down, but I don't know whether it's something that we just coined up or we assumed that our Caucasian counterparts live a certain way that's different from ours.
Well, I mean, it's like when talking to my parents when they first came to Britain. My dad, and I'm sure it's of the whole generation there, they would say that it wasn't until they came to Britain that they saw poor white people.
Yeah.
Because when they were back home, the white people they saw, they had power and status. Even the poorest had some status. Whereas coming here, and then, this is in the 50s, and, what 50s inner city Britain was like then was poor. I mean, there's lots of poor areas now, but if you ever look at sort of like video, YouTube clips of 50s, 60s, sort of like inner city Britain before they've knocked it down, you see these terraced houses with backyards, and then you've got all these areas where they've been bombing during the war, and they're just sort of like a bomb site, and literally a bomb site. So when they say a bomb site, they're meant to bomb site, and that's where you played. So that's what you experienced. So it was, it's an incredible sort of experience, which, to use that phrase now, the Windrush generation experienced.
Yeah, but that's another kind of weird thing, because it's like, again, I think from a historical point of view, I think the West has been successful in sanitizing their, their history to build this idea of these powerful nations that basically went out and conquered the world, but they never really speak about the infighting and the dysfunction.
The type of, I'm a bit of a lover of history.
Yeah.
So I read a lot of history. And, I don't know much about, I'm not a historian in a sense like an academic historian, but from what I know of the academic and historians and criticisms of the history which is often taught right across the world, people talk about big things.
Yeah.
They talk about the kings, they talk about the emperors, they talk about the victories.
Yeah.
They really talk about the defeats. They really talk about the sort of oppression which took place in those places at the time, and in those places which may have weakened these places as well, because that's not what history is for many people.
That's it. No.
We don't talk about ordinary things. You don't talk about ordinary lives. You don't talk about, well, how did people shop in such and such a place? It's only in recent decades that type of history is becoming to be popular. Most of the time we can tell you about battles.
That's it. But yeah, no.
I was going to say, and the famous chiefs.
That's it.
Who was that general? Who was that chief? Who was that? That's what we tend to know, which I think is a bit of a detriment. But I'd also say that I don't think people are that interested in history.
Do you know? That's a weird thing. I think history is interesting in context. I sometimes I worry when, we were what do you call it? I know there was a lot happening in the States. Usually something happens in the States and then a week later it's in England. But that whole thing of we will not teach slavery, we will not teach the transatlantic slave trade and all that kind of stuff. We will ban certain books from being shared. But the thing is, I think in when we sanitize history, there is this danger of, one, it will repeat itself, and two, we are robbing our children. It's sometimes it's when somebody is not second guessing, but they are insulting your intelligence, because for starters, when you suddenly say we are going to shield our children from knowing the sordid details of what we did to other countries or what was done to us, we are saying to them they don't have the capacity to deal with.
I agree with you, and I think this morning I've listened to two things and read another thing, all connected to a degree on that point you're making, which is, the first is on BBC Radio 4, they have a series called Lost Histories, and they've got Ray Winston doing the narration. So you've got this sort of Cockney guy doing this, and which it's got an effect to it, sort of like ordinary geezer type of voice there, not this sort of plummy BBC type voice there. And the two stories I've listened to this morning have been Ida.B. Wells. And Ida.B. Wells there, great figure during the sort of late 19th century, post-Civil War Reconstruction, one of the first in terms of boycotting sort of the transport system there, great sort of leader of writing, great suffragette, so many things. She's the first and the brilliant. And the second, and I knew about Ida.B. Wells, the second was someone I didn't know anything at all about until I listened to this programme, Robert Small.
Oh, okay.
And Robert Small there leads, he's on this sort of steamship with other African American enslaved people, about 15 people on this enslaved ship, and it's for the Confederacy. Yeah, and they've got 3 or 5 white crew members, and they go on shore after 2 weeks of service, and he takes his opportunity to take the boat. Take the boat with his family and other people's families, and to go across the bay in Charleston, past Fort Sumter and towards the Union fleet, which is in sort of like encircling the Confederacy. And when he gets towards the Union fleet, his wife, who was a machinist,
Yes.
she sews these white sheets together so they can become a surrender, because they're about to blow this ship out of the water. So they get to the Union side and they're freed. It's a long story, but eventually, because they pay him and the crew $9,000 because they brought this boat to the Union. Now it should have been 60,000, but it wasn't. It was 9,000. He then they make him a captain, the first African American captain of a boat during the Civil War. After that, he becomes a congressman. And he's a 5 times elected congressman, this guy is. And you hear this story, and his grandson, or his great-great-great-grandson, is talking about it. And you hear this story, and you are absolutely marvelled by this person and what this person does. Now, these sorts of stories are stories people need to know, because, we don't just want to hear suffering stories. We want to hear stories of people being able to, in the face of something, lift themselves, because it does give you some inspiration. It does make you feel, what's my little bit I can do?
But that's it. And also it kind of speaks to what we were talking about last week before we started recording the podcast. The fact that, there's a tendency to rubbish, like we rubbish Britain.
And we rubbish ourselves.
Yes. No, but that's it.
And we do ourselves down. What have we done? What have we done? And we're not wanting to be naive or anything like that. But, sometimes you have to remember those. I mean, we have been blessed in this podcast because we have heard so many first.
That's it.
We have heard so many people do things which they may well consider for themselves to be very ordinary.
Yeah.
But they were not ordinary. They haven't been ordinary. And especially in the times when they did those things, back in many cases in the 80s there, we've had people there who have done, successful careers in nursing, in the health-related area. They've been musicians. They've been in the leisure industry. They've been in the sort of like psychotherapy industry. There's been so many things which people have done, and they've done successfully in the face of.
But that's it. I think it's like, for me, like sometimes I have often spoken about, like, it feels like when you have somebody here, you're like reading somebody's diary.
With permission.
With permission, man. But it does, because it goes into other people's processes. Because many of us, we never ask questions. But when we do, and I speak about this, I think when we went to the meeting last Thursday at Ellesmere Children's Center, I spoke about the fact that we are very precious about our information, to a point that it's not of benefit. I know people are very secretive about their information for right reasons, because in the past our information has been weaponized, our data has been collected and used for nefarious means. But I think as a community, we will have to get to a point where we have a conversation with each other in terms of how do we use the information we hold about us so that it benefits us. Because like you're currently working on a new project.
Yeah, I thought you were getting towards that there, because I mean, actually a key part of what you're saying, and I'll get to it's about trust, isn't it?
Yes.
Because even on the one-to-one,
yes,
not even, because I take that back, it's absolutely underpins everything in terms of relationships. So the one-to-one, you have to have trust.
That's it.
Right, so you have to have trust with your intimate relationships, be it your partner, with your children, and then with your friends and with your associates. So that what I've seen, I mean, I think I'd like to think people who've been on the podcast that they can trust us.
Yes.
And because, I know people, before they come on the podcast, sometimes will go, oh, I'm a bit nervous. And sometimes I've been a bit surprised when they've said they've been a bit nervous. But they've got a right to be nervous because they're entrusting a lot about themselves, making themselves vulnerable. And we have a responsibility to treat that with the respect it deserves.
No, that's true. No, that's very true.
So I think that demonstrates it to a degree. So taking it to this new project, or this project I'm involved in, I'm involved with a project which is to do with prostate cancer.
Yeah.
And the very point you're making there about I think particularly with health, people of African descent in the West, be it Britain, Europe, or America, historically, have been mistreated.
Yeah,
and and still are being mistreated. We still are being mistreated in that area. So that's a fact.
That's a fact.
But at the same time as that, we have so many advances taking place in medicine that we want also to be considered.
That's it. No, that's it.
I mean, I've just been to the opticians this morning, and I've got a particular condition called keratoconus, which does affect disproportionately people of African descent, and that means that my cornea is distorted, which means it makes it difficult to have good vision, and you have quite extreme astigmatism, so difficult at night. And I was talking to him because the optician, a really good optician. And I said, when I got diagnosed in 1993, they said, within 5 years you'll have to have a corneal transplant.
Yeah.
Now, that's not happened. And then we got talking about all the advances in corneal lens development in the intervening 30 odd years. And he was saying, it's amazing. And I'm thinking, yes, it's amazing because I haven't had to have a corneal transplant. But the prostate cancer, we know the facts because SACMA, for instance, have been working on a 1 in 4 project. And, Sheila's been here with the 1 in 4 project, and the guys have been here from the 1 in 4 project, and we know those facts. And I think it was at the conference 2 years ago or 3 years ago where I think some of the guys at Sadaka asked the question, but why?
That's it. No, you was asked.
There's still no answer.
There's still no answer. Yeah, there's still no answer. But then there's this. I remember actually going to a men's conference a while back, and I remember the guys asking there was a question that I think there was somebody asked a question, but 1 in 4 black men will probably develop prostate cancer. What does it mean? And I know somebody basically asked, like, why is the research then being on black men? Because the person who was doing the research was Dr. Chichi Huang, who is of Chinese descent. And actually, it was the first time that I had heard that it was 1 in 4. There was a 1 in 4, kind of that statistic. And that basically kind of made me think, okay, why is it the first time I am hearing about this?
Well, that's an interesting one because part of the what I'm involved in, which is with the University of Sheffield, it's an the project's called Improve. It's coming out of a department called Deep End
Research
Alliance, which is looking into health research. I think this is the case, which connects with communities. And in this particular instance, the project is looking to see essentially what 2 groups of men who are currently underserved with respect to prostate cancer.
Yeah.
black men and men from low-income areas. But that, in a sense, that's proxy for white
Yeah.
men from low-income areas. And what it's trying to do is to engage with those men. What do you know about prostate cancer? Your sort of
Yeah.
question of a few years ago. And what are the barriers which might exist out there for people to engage more with the conversations around prostate cancer and to raise our awareness of prostate cancer and the issues around it, so that actually we will be better accessing the services available. Now, this is a really big issue at the moment because there's been a recent decision not to screen
Oh yes, I heard about this.
for prostate cancer. And
Yeah.
there's, a bit of an outcry because on one hand you've got people there, you've got the David Camerons, you've had Rishi Sunak, you've had, I think, Colin McFarlane, a black actor, saying there's a need particularly for the screening to take place because black men are so disproportionately affected by it.
Yeah.
The argument which goes against that is that there are so many false positives and this, that and the other. The PSA test is so unreliable. People could go down the road of having treatment, which if you go towards biopsies, it can, it's sort of like invasive.
Oh,
you
yes.
can have effects such as erectile dysfunction and other things like that. So
Yeah.
you've got on one side of that. So you could have more black men having more of these side effects.
Yeah, the side effects.
And the other side of it, but you could have more black men continuing to die more. So
Yeah.
you have this sort of thing.
Yeah.
The Improve project is trying to get essentially more black men to be informing a process around awareness around prostate cancer, which
Yeah.
will go, which will be in sort of like in parallel with another project which will be taking place in London called the Transform Project, where they're looking for over 300,000 men to be involved in a trial. This trial will be looking at the conventional way of doing prostate cancer screening, which is you go a PSA test, you have a physical test,
Yeah.
you have a biopsy, and then maybe MRI. That's the conventional way. The other way would be PSA genetic, sort of like testing, family history, and then MRI. And what that they say should do is to actually reduce the number of false
Yeah.
and actually have a higher level of people who've actually got harmful cancers. And then they would have the biopsy and the treatment.
But that's the thing. That's kind of going to the point I was alluding to earlier. The fact that if many of us in our communities, and we've seen this like in just families, the fact that many of us, we didn't even know our parents' health history.
Yeah, you're right about that.
You know, like to be able to say when you go to a doctor, when you get asked, does diabetes run in your family, or does hypertension run in your family, and you are able to say yes, or does cancer run in your family? You know what I'm saying?
Well, my mum died of leukemia. She's 58. So I'm in my 20s when she's going up to the hospital all the time.
Yeah.
And getting radiation therapy. And to tell you the truth, we didn't talk about it.
That's it.
We didn't talk about it until the very end, when it's like about a year or 2 years before she dies, that she's got leukemia. But everything up to that point, all the hospital visits, etc., there, we didn't talk. Now, do we talk about it now? Would, if I'd contracted a serious illness when my children were in their 20s, would I talk to them about it?
But that's it.
I don't know, because I've got friends who've been, been diagnosed with illness, and they haven't really spoken to their children that much about it.
But that's it. I think, I don't know. I can only talk about our community or those stories I've heard of people being saying, you know, you don't talk about business. You don't talk about your business to strangers or to others outside. You know what I'm saying?
It's a hard one because I mean, you know, you say about prostate cancer. When did I first hear about prostate cancer? I heard about prostate cancer when I first came to Sheffield in the late 80s.
Really?
And some guys who were about older than me, they were in their 40s, coming into their 40s, were talking about it. And that was the first I heard about it.
Yeah.
And I remember in the conversation they said, would you rather have 10 more years of life or you have prostate cancer, the treatment, and you can't function sexually?
Yeah.
That was the question. That's how it was posed. And I mean, I think at the time I was saying sort of like off the top of my head, yeah, I want the 10 more years. I still want the 10 more years.
Yeah.
But I think what was placed on the table in that discussion was that issue around sex.
Yeah. No. It always boils down
something
to
which, you know, men generally don't talk about other than in a sort of like, I don't know, in a sort of like, I don't know what you call it. It's not a serious way.
No, it's
None
never-
of us talk.
never.
Most men I know never talk about sex seriously.
No, this is the weirdest thing is that I know there's a generation now that's very open because, like, you know, I go to the sauna at Virgin Gym, and I have broached this subject around prostate cancer in the sauna, and there have been men who are very generous with their information.
Yeah.
But you know, I am always curious to a fault, and I will ask that question. And I remember, you know, kind of people basically, you know, like some guy saying, you know, I had my operation at such a thing, at such a time, and what have you. And of course, we will joke about the things like, did it kill the appetite? You know what I'm saying? Did it kill the appetite?
Sorry, that's a nice way of putting it.
Did it kill the appetite? Then some people say, oh, no, I'm still functional. You know what I'm saying? There are ways, because there are some people say, you know, there are ways to be able to still engage in a fulfilling, you know, kind of sexual, you know, kind of encounters without necessarily having to, you know. But that's not everybody. I think everything happen. I think it's an individual process.
Absolutely, but it takes a lot of thinking through, doesn't it? I mean, and you asked that question initially, which was, I think, around when did you become aware of it? I really became aware of it, actually, through Darkest How.
Oh yeah,
You remember Darkest How there, and Darkest How there, forceful activist, politician, all these things there. And he wrote a piece in a paper once, which was, he was angry, and you could do angry.
Yes,
And he was angry, and he was angry because he said, I'm tired of going to funerals of my friends for prostate cancer. And in that article there, it must have been about the late noughties, about 2007, 8, 9, that sort of time. And clearly his generation was starting to go.
Yeah.
And he was angry. And then I think it's either Samuel L. Jackson or Denzel did a campaign against it. Essentially said, take the finger.
Yes.
Yeah, now the two coolest guys on earth.
That's it.
Yes.
And then over here, Idris did.
Idris there. I mean, the
Idris.
three coolest guys on earth. If they can be doing it, then I tell you what, they are the three coolest.
No, they are cool. They're real cool. But that's the thing. It's like, because I was talking about, you know, kind of going to a men's conference, and the running joke was that finger exam.
Yeah.
You know, a guy says, oh, well, as long, just imagine if the doctor has big fingers.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
You
and
know
then we're
what I'm
back
saying?
into the sex, and then we into back into the sort of homosexuality,
Yeah.
all that
Yeah.
sort of, all those things there which are there. You know,
They're there, yeah.
to deny it is because I'm like, I've heard it a lot there. People
Yeah.
are quite sort of like, you know, they have thoughts about that. And then I've heard on the other side, then when people have gone to the GP, and I'm sure, because there's a series of focus groups taking place in the next 2 or 3 weeks, where we've got about 6 to 8 guys at the focus group. You're going to be on the first on Friday.
On Friday.
And I'm sure some of the guys in the focus groups will be repeating what I've heard elsewhere, where people have gone to the GP and have said to them, you know, basically, as a black man, I have got a higher probability of having prostate cancer, and I need to have the PSA test, and I need to have a physical test. And GP's sort of saying, well, there's nothing wrong with you, you know, because they've, you know, have you got, you know, are you losing weight? Have you got backache or, you know, urinary problems? Whatever it is, GP's not responding to that. Now, given that it takes so much for a person to go to the GP and to actually face up to this, and you know, to say, actually, I'm going to something which could, in the process, which could have an outcome where I get told I have cancer.
Yeah.
It might be better to just put my head in the sand.
That's it. No,
I know it's not the right thing, but it takes a lot of personal courage to go to your GP.
No, it really does. I was at there's a good friend actually at one of the music shops that I go to, you know, equipment shops in and he was talking. He was very open. He's like, because he said to me, it's like, oh yeah, look, I'm just gonna be, my shop will be closed, you know, for such a time because I'm going for what they call it, for an operation for prostate cancer. And let me tell you, the conversation, but he's a white guy. You know what I'm saying? He was very open, and
so you would say that you don't get those same conversations with fellow black guys.
No.
I think those. I mean, I've heard those conversations from other. For instance, in one of the men's groups, you and I've heard that conversation, and maybe it's that men's group which facilitates that. Because in that men's group, you know, both the men's group I'm in, I think the fact that actually, to be fancy about it, both groups set themselves out to be able to talk about things in a safe environment, and they've come together from a recognition that there was a need.
That's it. No.
And you know. And I was at one on Friday, and you know, you do your sort of like check-in thing, and one of the things which I remember really right was, you know, one of the barbers. They're saying, "I'm just tired of going to funerals."
No, that's true.
Because for them in particular, it's Andrew and Kevin there, and we had them on the show, on the podcast. I think early in the year, and. They're, as all barbers are, they're often the first to hear of someone's death.
That's it.
And not only one death, but all of them.
All of them.
You know, as they say, they'd be cutting somebody's hair, and somebody would be saying, "Yeah, about so and so, him dead now, you know." Now you hear that 3 times a week, every week.
That's it. It takes a toll on you. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I don't know. I think. For me, it's still a frustration of mine that we are still having a conversation around people not talking, especially with their families. You know.
Yeah, I think that's a really big one, because I think in that one there's one thing not to talk with friends. But I think if you can, and I'm saying this to myself as well, you know, to talk more with my children.
No,
and you know, talk, but it's hard if you've not done it. I mean, they might, if I start talking to my 2, they might think, "What's the matter with you?" Because I haven't done it as such. I haven't talked about my emotions. I haven't talked about my worries, and I'm sure, you know, let's say if I was ill, how would I go about it? Because I think we have a lifetime of saying, "I'm all right."
Yes, even when we're not all right.
Even when we're not all right.
I'm okay. You know?
Yes, if you ask me, I'm fine.
Yeah. But then, what was it? I think like a couple of days ago. No, actually, we were at somebody's wedding on Saturday evening. I was talking to David, And I was like, we're talking about this mutual person we know, and I'm saying, sometimes I avoid having a conversation, especially with some of our older members of the community, because every time you ask them, so, hey, how are you, Mr. or Mrs.? Oh, everything is,
Problems of the world. But me.
Yes, no, that's it. It's like, oh, if all you hear is somebody's, the struggle, yes, their struggles. After a while, they're like, do I really want to sit in for like 5? And then they'll regale you with everything they are going through. And like, when do we? Because I'm a believer that our interaction, as much as yes, we talk about the serious stuff, but we leave, kind of uplifted or enlightened.
I think uplifted and enlightened can come so many ways, can't it? I mean, going back to the men's group, they've lifted me.
Yes.
And the conversations we've had here have lifted me, and they've been very serious conversations and very light-hearted at times. You can be simultaneously, can't you?
Yes.
All of those things can happen at the one time there. And we're, to a point at which, with regard to the prostate cancer and this work I'm doing and looking for people to be on it, I've been so pleased with guys putting their hand up saying, I want to talk about
That's
it.
I was surprised.
I want to be on it, Donald.
Yeah.
Now, that tells me a number of things. One, that there is quite a lot of pent-up energy wanting to talk about their experiences around this area.
Yeah.
I think also it tells us that there's a lot more talk taking place amongst black men about these sorts of issues, which we sometimes, because we don't hear it and we're not party to it, doesn't mean to say it's not happening.
No, it's true. The weirdest thing is that I never knew anything about cancer until I came to this part of the world. Because it's like back home, it's like I remember talking to a guy here, probably like in the last 5 years, if that, and him saying, cancer, cancer has always been around. They call it such a thing. I didn't even know.
Yeah, because people died of cancer and they just died.
They just died.
Whereas today we have a name for that condition.
Yeah.
Whatever it might be. There are so many different types of cancers as well. I mean, guys, I heard, about men die of breast cancer.
Yeah.
You've got people having cancer on their tongue, cancer on the forehead, a mole which could be on the nose. You've got all sorts of things there are out there which we all have to pay attention to.
But that's it.
Especially as you're like me, I'm getting older.
No, I really do believe that, as a people, we should trust our physicians to do the work that they are tasked with.
Yeah, but you say trust, but at the same time, we need to know our rights. We need to be able to be equipped. We need to be equipped means you need to know, have knowledge. You need to have understanding, not as a practitioner. But arm yourself, because knowing and understanding and being aware, I think, allows you to be assertive. And I say assertive in the sense of where you feel as if you can ask that next question. You can ask that next thing there, which is not you seeking to undermine any professional. I respect professionals, but I want to be able to feel as if I want to be absolute. I want you to give me all the information which is my right to have. And because otherwise you're being sold short.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm saying we will rather trust our pastor than trust our doctor.
Well, I do. I'm not in the church, so you could tell me that.
No, I'm saying, let me tell you, I know some people who anything they go through, they'll be phoning their pastor. They will never dare phone their doctor to ask them.
Well, maybe that tells us something about, maybe it's a positive thing in the sense that they have a good, trusting relationship with their pastor, whereas this physician is a distant person. Now, hopefully, you'd like to think your GP, isn't too distant, but they are often.
No, but what that means, like, because I know this sort of like a very close person, because of their fear of going to hospitals or doctors and what have you. They let their health go so far.
Yeah, so
you know what I'm saying?
And that's actually one of the issues, isn't it, with prostate cancer, which for the two groups I've talked about, which the project's focusing on, is that, if I get this right, Yorkshire has 3 times the rate of London in terms of prostate cancer metastasis, which is a spread.
It's spread.
Now, that, I think, would indicate that it's been a later diagnosis.
Yeah.
But that's 3 times. That's an incredible figure, that is. I have no idea why that is, and clearly the research is trying to explore a little bit more as to what might be behind that, because that to my mind, it's a scary figure.
No,
Here we are in
it
Yorkshire.
is a scary figure. But then they I think in my sort of like kind of as a recently engrafted Yorkshireman.
Oh, yeah. I'm not.
No, but think about it though. There's something about this part of the country where I think the pace is different. As much as people do talk, I think there's always been this. Somehow there's they say that people are more closer, that there are more communities this side. But sometimes I wonder if the opposite is true. Mm. You know what I'm saying? We form closer bonds in terms of people will talk to you. But I just think in terms of kind of the campaigns, those big campaigns that you will find in London or those.
Well, isn't that more about? Could it not just be about London has the resources?
That's what I'm saying.
London has the whole infrastructure. I mean, again, going back to the optician today, and my optician's on Shower Vale, and the reason why I would go to this particular optician, which is cost me an arm and a leg, my glasses. Is because when I got diagnosed with my condition, the hospital said, here's a couple of opticians you should go to, because these people have experience of working at Moorfields Eye Hospital in London. So the number 1 eye hospital in Britain, Moorfields. That's what you've got in London. These specialists. So you've got, people who have maybe done some time in these specialist places. They've got these skills. They go out and they set up their own sort of like practice, etc. You've got all of that ecosystem there, maybe, which is supportive of, probably better. Well, in this case, better outcomes.
No, well, maybe because you are lucky. You were shown.
I was shown, yes.
With us, we just go to spec service or boots.
Well, I if I went there, I wouldn't get any service, so I had to be told to go there. But it was I had my dentist on Friday. It's about specialism, and dentists. We should try and get Alan on here, who's
Alan Moffat.
Alan Moffat there. So Alan, we're shouting out to you. I was supposed to have some root canal work, and the dentist phoned me and said, basically, your condition is such that actually we can't do it basically on NHS, and we don't have the facilities here to do this. There are a number of dental practices in Sheffield which can do it because they will have the specialism and they will have the equipment. Now, there you're starting to go to socioeconomics.
Yes.
You know, where if you don't have the financial means, that tooth's coming out.
Yes.
You know, and you see guys and women there of a certain age there, they're losing their teeth there because they've had no dental care. And there was something on Look North last week about this. There was a sort of peripatetic dental van going round, and people going on it to get some treatment. Now, when you went, and again, the black community is again disproportionately of low income, we are going to be affected by that as well.
Yeah.
You know, so in all of those health indices as such, that, you know, you're going to have these experiences there, which, you know, if you can't access it because you haven't got the means to, and I said it to my optician today, you know, essentially, it's really good service, but if you haven't got the money, you're not going to go there.
No,
You can't afford it. I mean, you just cannot afford that service, and a lot of people are being denied that.
But that's the thing. I think also kind of it goes a little bit further in the sense of especially when we go to certain places where we don't see people who look like us. You know, like you're talking about Alan Morford,
yes,
as a dentist. I mean, that's the first dentist I went to when I came to Sheffield. Yeah. And I know my family went to the same one. I don't know why when we moved to the other city, when we moved to the other side of the city, then we moved, which to me...
and I think it's interesting that because, I mean, if you go to hospital, you do.
Yeah.
You see the diversity in hospitals, mainly because nurses have been brought over from India, from Zimbabwe, from Nigeria. You've got the doctors from many different motifs, but not on that primary care. You know, say the GPs. Yes, you'll see Asian doctors, but it's only one and two sort of GPs of African descent. There's only one or two, and there used to be more, I think. And nurses used to have more from a Caribbean perspective. You had lots of Caribbean nurses, but on my parents' generation.
Yeah, because I do know.
Our age group.
I was, to be honest, when we couldn't find a guest for today, I was trying to see if I could.
You made that sound bad. Don't say that. we wanted Sheila.
No, we did. We wanted Sheila. No, we did want Sheila to come, but she had a scheduling conflict. But also, I was thinking of Dr. Lisa Phillip.
Yes.
You know, because I think, because Lisa has been on the forefront in terms of the work, you know, like the wider ranging work. It would have been interesting to kind of have maybe some time in the new year or something.
Yeah, it'd be brilliant. I think if we could get, I mean, so again, a shout out there for Lisa, Dr. Lisa.
Yeah, Dr. Lisa Phillip,
Philip, and to Alan and any other health practitioners out there who'd like to be on the podcast, because, you know, it's, you know, health is, you know, along with
wealth.
You know, you can have the money, you haven't got your health, forget it. The two are together.
Yeah. But so we've chopped. I know you're supposed to be.
Yeah, but we have been able to do a bit of our conversation today has touched upon many things which we've experienced here.
Yes.
And when you said about what you're doing for Christmas, I should have also added that on the, I can't remember what date it is now, the 20th of December, we'll be going to see Montuno. So that's Kent.
Oh, yeah, Kent.
So Kent, you know, so all those, I was looking out for Steve Edwards as well, and Franz Von as well. So whatever they're doing this Christmas, we'd like to know, because we'd like to actually see them in action.
Because I know Steve Edwards is at the Cemetery Road, that big edifice, that building.
Oh, okay, then. You mean in the sort of general cemetery?
Yeah, that big building.
Is he playing there?
Yeah, he's playing there. Oh, no, he's going to be playing there soon. And also, I don't know if I've missed this, but he's also supporting the Something at the Octagon.
He was supporting at the Foundry Isibo Sound System.
Yeah,
That was
I went
late
to
November.
that one. Yes,
Right.
I went to that one. It was amazing.
Was it?
Right.
So is he supporting another band now?
There's another one at the Octagon.
Okay.
I don't know if it has passed or not, but yeah, he's supporting another band at the Octagon, and he's also doing the other thing at. He's everywhere, man.
Well, we're looking at
and also because I know he's releasing his album, sometime in the new year. So he has been a very busy guy, But definitely, I think I want to go to the Montino. Where is it going to be?
It's going to be at the Greystone.
At the
pub.
Greystone.
Greystone
Yes.
pub.
I've been,
Yes.
when the first time actually I saw him perform was there.
Yeah.
I think it was more like their Christmas.
Yes, he has a Christmas special there.
There's
doesn't he?
Christmas special.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
It's usually a beautiful evening.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
It tells you Christmas is around when he
Oh
plays.
yes. No. It is, and those guys do Christmas very well.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, we got another one next week, and then the week after, and then we will.
No, next week's the last one.
That's the
Because
16th.
the 23rd, we haven't got one on the 23rd. On the 22nd, I don't think. Or
Oh,
have we?
We have.
Oh, we have? Okay,
We have
good.
one
All
on
right,
the
okay.
23rd.
All right. Let's
So
have a
we
little...
So we also have like two more podcast episodes for this for December, and then we will start looking at the new year.
Okay, brilliant stuff.
And we are always, kind of looking out for some of those great voices of Sheffield, those people with the experience that add value.
Well, Longani, I've enjoyed our conversation.
Oh, it's been amazing. I knew, like after last week, when you were having a gripe about, I was like, this brother needs a good talking, a good conversation. So
yeah,
thank
because
you.
that was a rant about the way in which certain politicians are running down Britain all the time there. But actually, it's just talk about saying this country's gone to the dogs because of black and brown people.
Yeah.
That's how I read it.
Yeah.
Right.
No, it's true. It's very true. But we've been here for a long time.
Yes, and we're not going.
And we're going nowhere anytime soon.
So, bye for now.
So thank you. So
Thank you.
thank you for all of you who listen to the podcast and you support us. We really appreciate that, and we please. Pass it to your friends, share some of these great conversations with your friends, and send us comments and suggestions of possible people that we could invite to the podcast. Have a good afternoon. Bro, thank you.
Hey, that worked well actually. It was timely as well. I think it was right that we actually had a little.
No, I think
we pulled a number. We sort of like we had a good overview of everything, and also a new topic which came out of it as well about the prostate cancer.
About the prostate cancer, yeah. Because I was away. Because that's why I was gonna ask.